Cheers to being a hot girl who uses Notion, baby. I feel like I've talked about Notion a bunch on this channel randomly in bursts in my vlogs, I guess. You guys have definitely heard me talk about the accountability group that I do with my friends, have done with my friends for the last 2 years, where we meet monthly to go over goal setting, what we're working on, what's challenging, things we want feedback on. You've heard me talk about gratitude journaling and how important that has become to me. And of course, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, I am a full-time YouTuber. This is my job, and being a self-employed content creator means that I have to be a very organized and very independent person in order to have any type of success doing what I do. So what do all of these things have in common, of course, is that I do all of those things, organize all of those things through Notion. And every time I talk about Notion, I get questions from people asking to do a Notion tour, to walk through how I organize my life, what questions and prompts I use for journaling, how to gratitude journal, and everything else that goes into living a more mindful and present life, and also organizing and living in a way that I can support myself, since I am my own boss. I have had this video on my list that I wanted to make that had been requested, and lucky enough, Notion reached out and wanted to sponsor this video. So here we are, baby. If you've never heard of Notion, it is basically a project management, organization, collaboration software to help you organize your entire life and whatever projects that you're currently working on. I became obsessed with Notion after I saw Damon Dominique's video about Notion 2 years ago now, I guess, or maybe a year and a half ago. I forget. Sorry. I am obsessed with seeing how people organize their lives and keep things neat and pretty and how they do life. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like I'm playing a game to me. Organizing things on my computer, it makes me feel like I'm playing The Sims or something. It's the same itch that gets scratched. I can't explain that. I just know that I have so much fun organizing and labeling things. And so I saw Damon's video talking about how he organizes his life and his to-do lists and all the things that he has going on in his life. And I was so inspired and set up my own Notion that same day. And so it began. So today I really wanted to just go through my entire Notion, show you how I organize my entire life, what sort of doing the back end of this job looks like being a full-time creator, as well as just showing you how I organize more mundane things, my gratitude journal, my therapy journal, and how I keep my brain nice and organized. So this is my main dashboard page. It's where I can see every single page within my Notion, and it's organized into 6 different categories: year planning, business, personal, YouTube, Instagram and TikTok, and podcast. So let's just jump into some of these sections, shall we? Start with yearly planning. So for those of you that have heard me talk about my accountability group that I do with my friends, this is pretty much where I house all of that stuff. This is where I keep my yearly goals, my quarterly goals, and my monthly goals, and where I just sort of reflect at the end of every month. I do a little bit of journaling to just sit back and think about the life I'm living now, the life I want to live, and what steps I can be taking to achieve my dream life. So this is the main page. I have my 2 guiding words for the year, which are vulnerability and alignment. And then down here, I have my big goals for 2022. I just realized that is the wrong number. But then when you look up here, you have the quarterly goals, and within the quarterlies, you have my monthlies. And this is really where I'm spending the majority of my time. So let's go through an old quarterly so I can show you exactly how it looks like when it's all filled out. So I have the individual pages for January, February, and March that I can click into and see all of that stuff. I'll get back to that in a second. But I have my quarterly top 3 priorities, and then my end of quarter review. So it's similar to what I do monthly is also what I do quarterly, but quarterly is just more high level, and I'm obviously reflecting on more. So let's just look at January. So for January, my top 3 priorities were to plan my podcast relaunch photo shoot and hire a graphic designer. I did not end up finding a photographer that I liked in January. I think it took me until end of February to find a photographer that I thought was great to partner with to do the launch of my podcast. And then I didn't end up hiring anyone to do graphic design because of the route I went with the photo shoot. But in January, this was a big goal of mine. Didn't end up happening. Something that is pretty important to me. I do a lot of goal setting, a lot of like looking at my life and mapping out what I want and what I don't want. But something that I always make sure of is when I don't complete a goal, if something doesn't happen, like I never punish myself for those things. There's no negative repercussions to not completing a goal, because sometimes you think something's a goal and then it turns out it's actually not a goal, which happens to me all the fucking time. In fact, it's gonna happen again right in this very page. So my second priority was to make 4 YouTube videos, which I did. And then my third goal was to plan out Patreon tiers and get feedback on how valuable it is, which I did. But then I later decided that I did not want to pursue doing a Patreon for my podcast. So if your goals change, if you commit to something and then later are like, this goal actually means nothing to me and I don't want to do this, and actually this isn't the right path, like, just don't check it off and move on. And then down below, I have my month in review. So at the end of every month, I go through and I ask myself, what did I enjoy the most? What did I learn? What could I have done better? And what do I wish existed or was possible to make this month run smoother? I think these are just good questions to reflect on how life is going and can prompt you to just, learn where you could be taking action, where you would like to take action when you're making goals for the next month. This yearly planning template was one that I adapted from a template that another YouTuber had made. I'm pretty sure it's
Jules Acree.
So yeah, I watched one of her Notion tours. She had a page similar to this, and I definitely just copied her entire format because I loved it so much. And that's another piece of advice I have to anyone that's starting Notion for the first time. Watch Notion tours. So many people on YouTube will give you their templates. Like, people have their templates set up so you can literally click a link and then duplicate their template over. And that really helped me when experimenting with what worked and what didn't work in terms of organizing different aspects of my life. So go through and watch different Notion tours, go through templates, see what other people are doing. Like, if you don't want to build out every template from scratch yourself, you for sure don't have to. So then going back to my main dashboard right underneath yearly planning, I have weekly agenda, and these are the pages that I am spending the most time in. I have it organized by month and then by week. So let's go to the current week. I'll show you a little bit of what's going on for me. So this is my weekly agenda. This template I got from apple.cheeks on YouTube, and it is wonderful. It's better for me to break it down day by day and also be able to move things around. So my first to-do of today is to refilm my Notion tour. Refilm, yes. I already filmed this and my computer corrupted all of the footage. So I'm filming it again. But when I'm done with this, I will check it off and then I will drag it down here. So it goes into my finished tab that I can then hide so I don't have to look at it. This is all the things I did yesterday. I actually already had my call with my nutritionist, so I'm going to check that off. And then this is everything else that I'm going to do today. And then if I have to add a new one, I just click this add button right here. A new box pops up, type it in, yada, yada. There we go. I so prefer organizing my daily to-dos on an app like Notion as opposed to writing it down in an agenda, because when you write stuff down, unless you're using a pencil, which who uses pencils? Pencils are so boring. You can't edit it. And my schedule is constantly changing. Priorities are constantly shifting. So I'm always moving things down. If I don't get to this today, I'm just gonna move it to Wednesday. And there it is. And it looks cute. And I didn't have to sit here and cross things out and be like, oh fuck, I wrote it in pen. And it was looking so cute and now it looks ugly. So besides the day by day breakdowns, on the sides, I have my priorities for the week, which are normally whatever projects I am actively working on and that need to be done this week. So for this week, that is my Notion tour and the podcast for this week, which is me talking about the Love Island finale with my friend Jordan. I recorded it last night. that was an important date, and these are some other important dates. Obviously, my posting dates are on here, and then the plans that I already have are here as well that I will check off once I do them. And then besides these two, I also have a habit tracker where I track how much I'm reading, a vitamin tracker where I track taking my vitamins, and then a hydration tracker, which honestly, I don't know how helpful it is to have this because I lose track of how much I drink every day. But yeah, usually I try to drink 90 ounces in a day. Surely I already drank this. Surely I did that yesterday, and I think I already did it today. Or I will once I'm done with this. I drink a lot of water. And then up at the top here, I just have a little quote that I usually just pull off of Twitter every week, something that I liked, something that I read that struck a chord with me. And then I have direct links to some other important pages so that I can just click and go straight there. So I'm going to skip over going over roadmap and calendar. I used to use my Google Calendar a lot more than I do now, and this was just sort of connected to that. I really don't use Google Calendar that much anymore. I really have everything in my weekly agenda, and it just feels like redundant to also put it in my calendar. And then roadmap is taking my yearly goals and mapping them out and making smaller to-dos within those large yearly goals. A lot of which I don't want to tell you. So I'm going to skip that. So let's go over to the business section, which I think is probably the most interesting section. Obviously, I work for myself. I am a self-employed content creator, and part of doing this job, especially when you are someone who does not have management, doesn't have anybody helping me with this, it is all me. The most important thing for me to be is organized and on top of my shit. So I'm very much on top of my shit. So let me show you how. First, let's go into my brand partners tab. This is where I keep track of all of my contracts. Everything that I have signed and secured right now is written in here. I have the brand listed. I have the current status of the collaboration in talks, awaiting contract, in progress, need to invoice, needs payment, and complete. When I hit complete, it gets immediately taken off of this list. I have what platform the collaboration is going on, which month this collaboration is being posted, the rate I'm being paid, a link to the contract that I signed, and then I pull out important information from the contract that I know I'm gonna want, but I don't want to open up the contract every single time I'm looking for this and like search through all the fine print. This is important not only for tracking what work I need to do each month, but also in predicting what my income is going to look like in future months and making sure that I am consistently booked and busy. I work pretty far out in advance, so it's beginning of August right now, and I am booked through the end of the year right now. I have all of my collaborations figured out on YouTube at least. I'll still accept other collaborations on Instagram or TikTok, or if my favorite brand ever wants to work with me on YouTube, I will squeeze them in. But right now I have like my income is set, my workload is set. I'm not taking on any more sponsorships for YouTube for the remainder of 2022, which is nice that I'm working so far out in advance and I have like 6 months of security at a time. So yeah, I'm always like very far ahead of myself. And if for some reason I stop getting brand deals and it becomes harder to pay my bills, like I will have a couple months notice before that happens. A lot of you guys probably know this, some of you maybe don't, but before I was doing YouTube full time, I worked in influencer marketing on the brand side. So I was spending a lot of my days negotiating with managers for other YouTubers, getting other YouTubers to partner with the company that I used to work for. So I know a lot about rates, what to charge, what other people are charging, and I guess like how the influencer industry works, both from the influencer side, being a creator myself for 12 years, and also from the brand side, being someone who worked with influencers on the brand side for 4 years. So that's a major reason why I'm so organized, is just because I have experience from like both sides of the coin. Gives me a very unique perspective. Obviously, it is very important to me as a creator to be able to maintain relationships with the brands that I love, because I'm only going to work with brands that I love. So hopefully they love me too, because as a creator, brand deals are a major source of income for a lot of us, the biggest source of income. For me, it's my biggest source of income. So accepting sponsorships and doing brand deals is so important to this job of mine and being able to do this and make content. So just being organized and on top of everything and maintaining relationships with the brands that I love is important to me. I'm so thankful that you guys support the brands that I work with, because it is so much fun getting to work with brands that I love and I'm such a huge fan of, and just like make fun little videos for a living. You know, people ask a lot, like, when you work with brands, how much do they control in the videos? And the answer is not a lot. I wouldn't work with a brand if they were going to try to like censor the content that I make. Usually when creators are working with brands are paying for like a 60-second spot, right? So they're really only giving critique on those 60 seconds. That's what they're paying for. The rest of the video is whatever you want it to be. So, but the brands that I work with don't tell me you have to make this kind of video, or no, you can't say this in that video. The brands basically just give me feedback on how well I represented the brand. Did I explain things properly? Did I include everything I needed to include, like the coupon code? Just that kind of stuff. They're not like controlling my content in any way. I make whatever I want to make, and then I put my sponsors in the first half of those videos. That is how most creators make money. It's a nice little handoff, getting to work with brands you love and make your fun little videos. It is truly the dream. So moving down in the business category, the next thing I have is my income tracker, which obviously I'm going to blur most of this, but I will try to explain to you what you're looking at here. I have my income broken down by month and then broken down in 4 separate categories. So I have sponsors, AdSense, affiliate, and miscellaneous. These are my 4 main income categories. Whenever a check hits, I throw it into this chart just so I can track and see how much money I made every single month, and see like where the majority of my income is coming. If there's like a outlier here, if there's a decline or an incline, to study trends and just see what's going on. So obviously sponsors, AdSense, and affiliate are like the main 3 ways that creators make money. And then I also have this miscellaneous column for any like random things that have popped up. Like, for example, I have taken on a few modeling gigs this year, and obviously that's not like a main part of my income or job. I'm not a model, but I have done some modeling gigs. So the money I get from those would end up in the miscellaneous tab. I have my invoice tab where I can see what invoices I currently have out right now that I'm waiting for. So right now you can see I have 4 invoices out. I can see how much I am currently owed. I have links to all the invoices, and then I have the dates for which each of these invoices are due. This is probably one of the most important parts of my Notion, because this is really where I can see what to expect in the next month. When do I have money coming in? When do I need to send follow-up emails to check in? Yeah, you just have to be very good and on top of yourself about managing the money that does come in, understanding that sometimes invoices will be early, sometimes they will be late, and sometimes there will be gaps in between when you have invoices hitting. So you just have to be smart about it. Be smart, be organized, and this is a system that has really worked for me. I'm gonna skip over rate sheet and milestones because the whole page would be blurred for both of them. My rate sheet is obviously just what I charge on every social media platform. I have a media kit that's connected to that sheet. So I can see the rates and I can edit the rates in Notion, and then they are reflected in my media kit as well, which is what I send to brands when they ask me what my rates are. And then the milestones tab is where I'm tracking subscriber milestones and money milestones. So I'm just gonna skip right over those 2, and I'm actually going to go down to the YouTube tab, because YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and podcast, all of these are pretty much the same. So I'm just going to show you the YouTube inventory and know that Instagram, TikTok, and my podcast are all very similar. As for some of these other tabs that are on here, merchandise, copywriting and design, Lightroom presets, Patreon. Obviously, Patreon, I told you guys I was working on, didn't end up happening. Lightroom presets, where I keep all of my Lightroom presets. If I change phones, if something happens, I have to re-download all of them and put them back on my phone. So I keep them all here. I have them organized by season, and so I know which filters go for which time of the year. Listen, I like to have fun. Copywriting and design, like for example for the podcast, is like the text that I use underneath the show description, each episode, the photos that I use for the cover, for the end screen on YouTube, for the banner, and then the merchandise tab on YouTube. There's nothing in this. Sorry, you got punked. There's nothing in that. I think I just put that there as like a manifestation because I would like to at some point design something, a little gift from me to you. I'm not sure what or when, but some point, someday, somewhere, somehow. But nothing is happening there right now. But let's look into the YouTube inventory because this is where I plan out each and every one of my videos. So obviously right now I'm working on Notion Tour. Technically I'm filming, but I had it marked as editing because I've already filmed this and I didn't realize it was corrupted until I went to edit it. But I'm gonna edit it right after, so let's just keep it in editing. I have what the idea for the video is, the status, whether it's an idea, I'm drafting the idea, shooting, editing, awaiting sponsor approval, it's queued or it's posted. When I change the status to posting, it removes it from the list. Then I also have the date that I'm due to post it, the sponsor that I have on this video, what type of video it is. This is just for me to make sure that I'm switching up the content that I make and not only doing fashion videos or only doing sex videos or only doing vlogs. I like to have a variety in the content that I make. And then of course what playlist each of the videos are going in. You'll see that these 4 right here have little icons next to them, and that means that there's information stored inside each of these entries. So when you click on one of these, I'll open up my planning for the Notion Tour. The first section that I have here is the title list. So these are my possible titles for the video. I have no idea what I'm going to title this or if it's even going to be any of these, but this is the initial brainstorming that I did. I have a place for me to write out the description. This is more useful for like my fashion videos where I have a lot of links that I'm putting in. When it's just a video where there's not a lot of links, a lot of times I will not draft a description in Notion first because it's like just not that fucking serious. But if I'm linking a lot of things, it's very helpful to have them all organized in Notion first. And then down at the bottom, I have my notes for filming. So obviously there's not a lot of notes for this video just because I'm just going through my Notion. So it's not like the most complicated thing ever. Tiny little simple notes. Let me go through one that probably had a little bit more planning so you could see what it sometimes looks like. There was definitely a bit more planning to this one. Yeah, I did all of it on this one. So for this one, I had my working title list. This is the one that I ended up using as the final. This is the description. These are the tags I used. And then for video notes, for this one, I used this section as a shot list. So I had a very clear vision for what I wanted this video to be. And I ended up just making a list of all the different shots that I needed to make sure I got, so that I can weave in all of the talking points that I had within these. It's a good video. I really love that video, actually. And last but not least, let's go through the personal section of my Notion. So first thing I have here is my gratitude journal. I love gratitude journaling. I have absolutely fallen off with it. As you can see at the beginning of the year, January, February time, I was gratitude journaling a lot, and then I sort of fell off. And here we are now. You can see this is the last time I filmed the Notion video on July 28th. Haha. We're gonna do it again. Hi YouTube, part 2. But this is what I do for gratitude journaling when I actually remember to do it. I need to get back into it. Mood rating for the day. Honestly, I would put like 4 or 5, but I'm kind of pissed that my footage got corrupted. You know what? I'm feeling 3 because technology is really stacked against me right now and it's fucking with my life. Highlights of today. I'm gonna say great food. I went grocery shopping yesterday and I'm very excited to cook all of the meals that I planned for this week. I'm going to say reading because I want to manifest that I will read this evening. I'm really enjoying reading Book Lovers by Emily Henry right now. But yeah, I've been a little busy the last few days and haven't gotten to read a little bit, and I'd love to read even just one chapter later tonight. And then the last one, I'll say productive. That's a highlight of today. I'm getting shit done. What are 3 things I'm grateful for today? My cuddly cat mango, avocado toast, which I've been fucking up for the last 2 months. Like, I'm killing it in the avocado toast department. And the last thing I'm grateful for is having an abundance of candles. What's on top of my mind this morning? You know what was on the top of my mind this morning? I had a bad dream last night. I'm a nightmare girl. Nightmare girls, link up in the comments. I have nightmares all the fucking time. And I had a really bad nightmare last night, and it's sort of put me in a bad mood this morning because I start to, like, you know, you just like wake up and you feel like everyone's your enemy. And you're like, that was a dream. But I'm like, I feel like you're my enemy. So what's on the top of my mind this morning? Is everyone my enemy? Is there truth in my nightmares? Let's think about it. That was on the top of my mind this morning. I've relaxed now. I'm cool, calm, and collected as we currently speak. But yeah, that was the first thought to enter my brain. What are 3 good things that'll happen today? I'll refilm my Notion tour, and this footage will not be corrupted. I'll meet with my nutritionist, which I already did, and it was lovely. And I'm gonna make time to read this evening. And then for a daily affirmation, I'll just use one of my favorites of all time. I am loving, I am loved, I am lovable, which is one of my favorite little affirmations that I use all the time. Right underneath gratitude journal, I have my reading directory. This is just where I organize all of the books that I'm reading. The title, author, what the status is, what I rated it, the date I started and finished, paperback or hardcover, and then the genre of the book itself. There's really no reason for this other than I like it. I don't know. Below this one, I have my therapy journal. This is all blurred. We're not going through my pre and post therapy brain. But every time I do therapy, after I get out, I basically open up this journal and I rank how I felt before therapy, how I felt after therapy, the last 24 hours in 2 words. I write down what we talked about in therapy, and then I write down what I need to reflect on in the next week. This is just a nice way for me to remain present. I'm gonna skip over my food and movement section just because it's kind of under construction, but this is basically where I keep everything that I talk about my nutritionist with. And last but not least, I have my vacation planning category. This was where I planned my Paris trip. So I have my top places that I want to visit. I have my current travel plans that I have already in the works. And then if I am the one planning the trip, this is where it would go. And obviously I went to Paris by myself, so that trip was all on me. This is gonna look overwhelming. I promise you, I did a lot of this in the moment. So I have it broken down day by day. I did not go to Paris having a day-by-day breakdown. I did this in the morning every day before I started my day. The only things that I had on this day-by-day breakdown when I went to Paris initially was the reservations that I made. So like I knew on day 3, I had a reservation at the Louvre at 11, and then I had a reservation for a dinner cruise at 7:45. Those 2 things would have been there pre going to Paris. Everything else I added in as I was going. So it was a nice place to sort of plan each of my days so I could make sure that I packed as much as I felt comfortable doing into each day. Obviously, I was only there for 7 days. But this was really the side that mattered. Before I went to Paris, I had a list of recommendations that everyone gave to me, friends, family, you guys on Instagram, of different sightseeing spots, different museums, coffee shops. And then I checked off some stuff as I went. And so now the next time I go to Paris, I can go and check off a lot of the stuff that I didn't get to see the first time. So that's my Notion. That's how I use it. A little bit for work, a little bit for personal. Basically, it's my whole entire life. I put everything on Notion. I find it so helpful. And it just puts my mind at ease to have so much organization in my life. And the best part about Notion is that it's completely free. So if you want to sign up to use Notion yourself, there's gonna be a link in the description of this video. I highly recommend them. I was so stoked to finally get to work with Notion since I have been such a huge fan organizing my entire life on their platform for forever now. So if you're interested, it's free. Just click the link in the description down below to sign up and get started. So that's it for this video. If you haven't checked out my podcast yet, be sure to go and do that. because it's fun. We have fun over there, and I think if you like this channel, you will like that as well. Be sure to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, because I'm sexy as fuck. It's actually really shocking. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.